The stories of Maldita Loisel and Othello are unfortunate and unforgettable. Le Collier de Guy de Maupassant is the name of the literature and author, and Othello by William Shakespeare. The first story revolves around a beautiful woman named Maldita Loisel, a middle-class French woman who happens to be disconnected. She feels as if she was born to experience the delicacy and luxury that life has to offer. Unhappy with the used furniture that makes up her house, she envisions the possibility of owning a luxurious home. Unfortunately for her, this inclination to keep up with the Joneses negatively impacts her financial future. Othello, on the other hand, is a well-respected Moorish general. Sadly for him too, he is manipulated into believing that his wife Desdemona is being unfaithful. One evening, Monsieur Loisel comes home with exciting news about a high society event. He informs Maldita about it, but she is unhappy, convinced that she would not fit in. Ultimately, her husband buys her a 400-franc dress, but Maldita remains unhappy. She breaks down as she realizes that she is missing a jewelry to fit in with the rich. Her husband loses his temper and calls her foolish. He then instructs her to contact Madame Forestier, a woman of elegance, to borrow one. Madame Forestier agrees to lend Maldita a jewel, and everything goes out as planned. During the event, she grabs a lot of attention for being beautiful and well-dressed. However, as Maldita is having the blast of her life, she unknowingly loses the necklace. She only realizes this after getting into a cab and arriving home. Her husband tries to retrace her steps, but nothing comes up. They agree to replace the missing piece without notifying Madame Forestier. Ultimately, they found a similar one and settled for a whopping 36,000 francs. Within the next few years, they go try to repay their debts. Monsieur Loisel grabs 3 jobs, and Mathilde spends her time doing housework. Dave Ramsey calls this gazelle intensity, and for those of you who aren't familiar with Dave Ramsey, he runs a radio show teaching folks how to better manage their personal finances. At last, they purchase the piece and hand it over to Madame Forestier. Unfortunately, one day, Mathilde finds out that the necklace she lost that night was a counterfeit, not worth anything. Shifting on to the next unfavorable outcome is Othello by William Shakespeare. This play follows the story of Othello, a brave and well-respected Moorish general. He secretly falls in love with a woman named Desdemona, the daughter of a Venetian nobleman. The antagonist, Iago, becomes infuriated one day when he is passed over for promotion in favor of Cassio, who according to Iago knows more about arithmetic than combat. This resentment drives Iago to manipulate every person in his circle in order to make Othello believe that his wife Desdemona is unfaithful. Ultimately, the revelation of Iago's plan is revealed by his wife Emilia, which starts the domino effect. One by one, Rodrigo, Emilia, Othello, and Desdemona they all meet their demise. I selected the stories of The Necklace by Guy de Maupassant and Othello by William Shakespeare because it resonates in the field of personal finance. Numerous individuals in the world make financial mistakes, and the wonderful thing is that we can all learn from these unfavorable events. There is much manipulation and deception in the world of entrepreneurship and business, so it only made sense to choose these stories. After choosing my texts, I started rereading both texts to get a better understanding of what I was going to do research on. It is said that rereading can be an effective strategy for comprehension and understanding. Shortly thereafter, I began sketching an outline roadmap. I reviewed numerous essay outline samples to understand how to accurately allocate the paragraphs, words, plot diagram, etc. Initially, I also had to throw all my ideas into the table. I had to distinguish between the rubbish and the compelling ones. Overall, I learned so much from both texts. One thing I would have approached differently is to implement Parkinson's law, which suggests that if there is a set time frame for completing a task, the work tends to stretch to accommodate that allocated time. The thesis statements stated that both genres originate from distinct genres, however, they share literary devices such as imagery and irony. Consider the character of Iago in Othello. Dramatic irony comes into play as the audience, which is us, is aware of Iago's manipulative and deceitful nature, while the characters like Cassio and Rodrigo are not.